Hello there, very good evening and welcome to the news tonight here on Sabha TV. I'm Tracy Shilshi and here are the headlines. Home Minister Rajnath Singh lashes out at separatists for avoiding the meeting of the all-party to Kashmir, says that those who are opposed to negotiations are against democracy. At the G20 summit, Prime Minister Narendra Modi puts the spotlight on the fight against corruption, also singles out Pakistan as a single nation spreading terror in South Asia. More provocation by North Korea as it fires 3 ballistic missiles into the Sea of Japan. Incident comes hours after presidents of South Korea and China meet at the summit. And the nation celebrates Teachers' Day, and President Pranab Mukherjee highlights the need for teachers to imbibe technology to create modern and effective approaches to learning. Our top story, Home Minister Rajnath Singh today lashed out at Hurriyat leaders in Kashmir after they refused to hold talks with members of the all-party delegation. The delegation, meanwhile, moved to Jammu on the second day and held interaction with members of the civil society.
Home Minister Rajnath Singh on Monday hit out at separatists for refusing to meet the all-party delegation to Kashmir. This was after some of the senior members in the delegation went to meet separatist leaders individually and were turned away by all of them except Yasin Malik, the leader of Jammu Kashmir Liberation Front. The MP's delegation is in the state to broker peace in the valley that has been experiencing unrest for nearly 2 months now. The Home Minister, who is leading the 28-member team, said the conduct of the separatist leaders was against Kashmiri ethos, humanity and democracy.
डेलीगेशन के उन मित्रों ने जो जानकारी दी, कम से कम इतना तो कहा जा सकता है कि सचमुच यह कश्मीरियत तो नहीं है और इसे इंसानियत भी नहीं माना जा सकता, इंसानियत भी नहीं है। और कोई बातचीत करने के लिए गया है, उन्होंने बातचीत नहीं की, तो कम से कम जमहूरियत में भी यकीन नहीं है।
The delegation has already held talks with many stakeholders in Srinagar to reach a political solution to end the cycle of violence in the state that has so far claimed nearly 70 lives and left many injured.
बातचीत के दरवाजे खुले होने चाहिए सबके लिए, सब स्टेक होल्डर्स, और ये अनकंडीशनल टॉक्स होनी चाहिए। ये अनकंडीशनल टॉक्स एंड दिस शुड बी फॉर ऑल।
सबसे पहले यहाँ शांति कायम होना चाहिए, इसलिए पीडीपी और बीजेपी का जो अलायंस है उसमें एजेंडा फॉर गवर्नेंस है, उसमें साफ लिखा हुआ कि वी विल टॉक टू ऑल स्टेक होल्डर्स इन गुड हुर्रियत।
हुर्रियत को मना नहीं करना चाहिए था और बातचीत करनी चाहिए थी, और मैं समझता हूँ कि जल्दी ही इसका कोई ना कोई रास्ता निकलेगा। ये लॉ ऑर्डर का मामला नहीं है, ये पॉलिटिकल इश्यूज हैं जिसको सेटल करना ही होगा।
हम राष्ट्रीय एकता के साथ बंधे हुए हैं, लेकिन पीस के लिए और वातावरण का अच्छा निर्माण हो, इसके लिए हमें हमेशा जो है दरवाजा खोल कर रखना चाहिए।
State parties expressed different views about the exercise.
देखिए, पीडीपी एज अ पॉलिटिकल पार्टी हमारा हमेशा से स्टैंड रहा है कि मुल्क के लोगों को और कश्मीर के लोगों को नज़दीक लाने के लिए बातचीत होनी चाहिए और रिकन्सिलेशन प्रोसेस पे काम होना चाहिए। हमने हमेशा ये कहा है कि हम एक ब्रिज, एक फैसिलिटेटर का रोल करना चाहिए, चाहे हम सरकार में रहे चाहे अपोजिशन में रहे। हमने हमेशा ये बात की।
गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया वाज नोइंग इट फ्रॉम द वेरी बिगिनिंग एंड दे वर आल्सो नोइंग दैट द एंटायर सेगमेंट ऑफ Hurriyat leadership is supporting this movement. How did they think that they are going to meet them and they will be talking to them democracy or they will be talking to them humanity? It is, they are trying to befool themselves and befool the whole nation.
The Home Minister, however, said the government was still open to talk to separatists.
मैं इतना स्पष्ट कर देना चाहता हूं फिर से कि बातचीत के लिए केवल हमारा दरवाजा ही नहीं खुला है, हमारे रोशनदान भी खुले हैं।
Rajnath Singh also mentioned that the government had replaced pellet guns by non-lethal pelargonic acid, vinyl amide shells to control the crowds. The pellet guns are one of the reasons for the public outrage after their widespread triggered many casualties.
और non-lethal weapon का अल्टरनेटिव पावा शेल्स का सुझाव आया है। मैं समझता हूं उससे किसी की मौत नहीं होगी, किसी की जान नहीं जाएगी। कल से उसके 1000 सेल्स भी यहाँ पर आ चुके हैं।
The valley is under lockdown since 8th of July, when clashes erupted after security forces gunned down the separatist militant Burhan Wani. Among the over 6,000 people injured, many are security personnel who have been asked to act with restraint as they try to keep protesters off the streets and quell the violence. Vishal Dayya's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, normal life remained paralysed for the 59th day in the valley due to violent protests that followed the killing of Hizbul Mujahideen militant Burhan Wani in July. Curfew continued in parts of Srinagar and restrictions remained in force in the rest of Kashmir today. Curfew was also imposed in 5 police station areas in Batmalu and Maisuma areas in Srinagar, while restrictions were placed on the movement of people in the rest of the valley. Shops, business establishments and petrol pumps remained shut during the daytime. Schools, colleges and other educational institutions were also closed. However, the attendance in government offices and banks showed some signs of improvement. Public transport was off roads though, and separatists also extended the shutdown program till the 8th of September. More than 200 persons were injured in clashes between protesters and security forces in the valley yesterday, even as the all-party delegation was assessing the ground situation in Kashmir. In other news, keeping up the tradition that he started last year, President Pranab Mukherjee turned teacher on the occasion of Teachers' Day this time as well. He took an hour-long class at a school outside the Rashtrapati Bhavan compound, in which he emphasized the need to encourage technical education. He also asked students to be more tolerant and develop a more pluralistic outlook.
As he arrives here in the classroom.
Around 80 students of class 11th and 12th attended a special lecture at Delhi's Dr. Rajendra Prasad Sarvodaya Vidyalaya on Monday. On the occasion of Teachers' Day, they listened intently as President Pranab Mukherjee turned teacher.
I come as a teacher, as I told you, that you can call me Pranab sir or Mukherjee sir, whatever you prefer.
The President took an hour-long lesson at the school located within the compounds of the Rashtrapati Bhavan.
Secularism is a part which is the part of our life.
The President's lecture had an emphasis on India's political history and its development since independence. He also talked about the rising menace of terrorism across the border as well as the rest of the world.
Ensure that homegrown terrorism, which is a major international event today and which may be considered as the biggest menace to the international peace and community, irrespective of border, religion or location. But India is substantially free because we are attacked. We are attacked from outside. We are the victim of the cross-border terrorism, not so much of the homegrown terrorism. Because the Catholicity of our mind, belief and faith in pluralism, huge diversity.
President Mukherjee is an experienced hand when it comes to teaching, as he taught in a college before venturing into politics in 1969. He took a lesson in political history last year too. Panchanan Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And the President also presented the national awards to teachers from across the country for their distinguished services. At a function held at Vigyan Bhavan in New Delhi, President Mukherjee congratulated all the recipients and expressed gratitude for their service and commitment. He said that Teachers' Day was an occasion to recognize the dedicated services of the teachers of the nation and also advise them to imbibe technology and new methods to create modern and effective approaches to teaching and learning.
While congratulating you because you are laying the basic foundations, primary education and school education, medium and secondary educations will provide the foundations. If the foundation is not strong, the structure built on the foundation cannot be strong. Therefore, the primary responsibility of building the structures, foundation of the structures, and make it a solid one is your responsibility.
The Supreme Court has given the centre 4 weeks to file its reply on a batch of petitions on triple talaq and the plight of Muslim women. A bench comprising Chief Justice T.S. Thakur and Justice D.Y. Chandrachud gave time after Additional Solicitor General Tushar Mehta sought more time to respond. On Friday, the All India Muslim Personal Law Board had told the Supreme Court that personal laws of a community cannot be rewritten in the name of social reforms. They said this while opposing the pleas on the issue. In fact, the board also said that the issue relating to Muslim practices of polygamy, triple talaq and nikah halala cannot be interfered with. The apex court had taken suo motu cognizance of various pleas that alleged that Muslim women gender discrimination in cases of divorce or due to polygamy by their husbands. In other news, Urjit Patel took over as the 24th Governor of Reserve Bank of India today, succeeding Raghuram Rajan, whose 3-year term ended yesterday. The handover ceremony will take place on Tuesday. Patel's tenure as Deputy Governor was extended earlier this year. He has also served at the International Monetary Fund and as a consultant to the Ministry of Finance from 1998 to 2001. With that, let's take you through more national news updates in Nationwide. Former Delhi Minister Sandeep Kumar was remanded to 3-day police custody by a Delhi court. He is facing charges of rape. The police also detained his personal assistant, Praveen Kumar, after the Aam Aadmi Party leader alleged that he was blackmailing and threatening to destroy his public image. The police said Praveen Kumar was taken into custody and will be questioned in the case. The Supreme Court today directed Karnataka to release 15,000 cusecs of Kaveri water per day to Tamil Nadu for the next 10 days. A bench comprising Justices Deepak Mishra and UU Lalit said that crops in Tamil Nadu would be adversely affected without the water. The apex court also directed Tamil Nadu to approach the supervisory committee within 3 days for the release of Kaveri water as per the final order of the Kaveri Water Disputes Tribunal. Former Union Minister Arif Beg passed away in Bhopal. He was 81 years old. Beg was Minister of State in the Morarji Desai-led Janata Party government at the centre. In 1977, he ran for Parliament on the Bharatiya Lok Dal ticket from Bhopal and won the seat. In 1989, he was elected from Lok Sabha from the Betul constituency. Beg then left the BJP after it came to power at the centre in 1999 and joined the Congress, however rejoined the BJP in 2003. Supreme Court today quashed criminal proceedings against cricketer MS Dhoni for allegedly hurting religious sentiments by being portrayed as God on a magazine cover. A bench headed by Justice Rajan Gogoi granted the relief to Dhoni after noting the trial court in Karnataka erred in summoning the cricketer without following due procedure of law. With that, a quick break here. We'll be back with more news in a bit. Stay with us.
Down the ages, jewellery has been the pride of the Indian culture. In the Harappan period, it attained perfection in flattened gold bands. From the modern period came the exquisite gold brooches. Many ornaments were an extension of religious practices, like the Gauri Shankaram Rudraksh necklace worn by the temple priest. Rings with lids preserved the taweez that held secret messages and sometimes even poison.
Marathwada blighted their hope, stung their dreams, dumped them on the road to Mumbai, looking for succor. They crash landed in no man's land.
हमारे कमाने का खाने का वही फिक्र है, किसके पास जाना किसके पास नहीं जाना वो मालूम नहीं सर.
Watch the story of migrants from Marathwada only on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. Let's get you now the latest from the G20 summit in China, where, in fact, the two-day summit concluded today with leaders adopting a communique. In a sharp reaction, Prime Minister Narendra Modi criticized Pakistan, saying that a single nation in South Asia was spreading terror, the agents of terror. He also called out for zero tolerance on corruption and black money.
The two-day G20 summit ended on Monday after reaching consensus on a wide range of issues. The summit adopted a communique clarifying the development direction, targets and measures of the G20 cooperation. It also reached a consensus on facilitating the world economic growth through long-term, innovative and inclusive measures.
会上，各成员、嘉宾国领导人和国际组织负责人围绕构建创新、活力、联动、包容的世界经济的
Along with economic growth, global security was also discussed at the summit. The US and Russia discussed the situation in Syria on the sidelines and hoped for a solution soon.
We have had some productive conversations about what a real cessation of hostilities would look like that would allow us, both the United States and Russia, to focus our attention on common enemies like ISIL and Nusra.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi also raised the security issue at the summit. In a sharp attack on Pakistan, he said a single nation in South Asia was spreading agents of terror and asserted that those who sponsor the menace must be sanctioned and isolated. In his address, Modi also focused on black money while calling for zero loopholes in administrative, policy and treaty areas in the fight against corruption. On the sidelines of the summit, Modi held talks with Britain's new Prime Minister Theresa May, French President François Hollande and Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. India has said it will not be able to ratify the Paris Agreement in 2016, 2 days after the world's two biggest economies, the United States and China, formally joined the pact to curb climate warming emissions.
I felt that we were not quite ready yet in terms of the domestic actions that are required for us to ratify, or at least to commit to ratify within 2016. So while we plan to do it as soon as possible, we were not yet ready to commit.
The leaders also discussed prominent issues affecting the world economy, issues like climate change, refugees, anti-terrorism financing and global public health. The next summit will be held in Hamburg, Germany in 2017. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And on the second and last day of the G20 summit, world leaders came together to condemn the latest missile launched by North Korea. North Korea fired 3 ballistic missiles off its east coast on Monday. The missiles were the latest in a series by the North this year in violation of the UN Security Council resolutions that ban all ballistic missile-related activities by the North. Pyongyang rejects the ban, of course, as infringing its sovereign right to pursue a space program and self-defense. The defiant reminder of the risk to global security triggered prompt condemnations from the gathering. Host China urged the relevant parties to avoid escalating tensions.
북한의 탄도미사일 발사는 유엔 안보리 결의의 노골적인 위반이자 북한의 핵 미사일 개발이 한반도뿐 아니라 주변국 및 국제사회에 대한
我想说的是，中方呢在有关问题上的立场是一贯的，也是非常明确的。那么当前半岛形势的确是非常的复杂和敏感，我们希望呢有关各方都能够避免采取。
At least 43 people died in a string of bomb attacks that hit mostly government-controlled areas of Syria on Monday. 45 others were also wounded in a double bombing outside the city of Tartus, which is the home of a Russian naval base. The attacks have not been claimed by any group yet, and it comes just a day after Turkey secured a key 90-kilometer-long corridor along its border with Syria.
A string of bomb attacks hit Syria's government-controlled areas on Monday, killing several dozen people. The dead include at least 30 in President Bashar al-Assad's coastal stronghold of Tartus. Tartus has by and large been spared the worst violence in Syria's conflict since it began in March 2011. In fact, Tartus is a refuge for many Syrians fleeing the fighting in other parts of the country. There were no immediate claims of responsibility for the blasts, but the Islamic State group has regularly targeted several of the areas that were hit. The other attacks targeted Homs city, an army checkpoint on a road outside Damascus, and a Kurdish security forces checkpoint in Hasakeh. The bombings came a day after Turkish-backed rebels cleared Islamic State from Turkey's Syrian border, securing a 90-kilometer-long corridor. The rebels took charge of the frontier between Azaz and Jarablus. This has given Turkey firm control over a stretch of land that it needs to keep the US-backed Syrian Kurdish YPG militia in check. However, this could lead to heightened tensions with the US over its Syria policy. Meanwhile, Syrian government forces and their allies recaptured areas in southwestern Aleppo on Sunday after heavy bombardments and repeated attempts to drive the insurgents back. The areas recaptured included the Weaponry College and the Air Force Technical College on the city's southwestern outskirts. Rebels had captured those areas last month in an assault that broke through a government siege. President Bashar al-Assad, who is backed by Russia, Iran and the powerful Lebanese Shiite group Hezbollah, wants to recapture the whole of Aleppo. Moscow's intervention last year turned the war in Assad's favor in many areas, but rebels have made some gains, including in Aleppo and in Hama province further south. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
At least 24 people, meanwhile, were killed today when two Taliban suicide bombers struck close to the defense ministry in Kabul. It was the latest assault on the Afghan capital. Around 30 others were injured in the assault. The two bombers blew themselves up in rapid succession in an attempt to inflict mass casualties as government workers left the ministry after work. President Ashraf Ghani strongly condemned the attack, while Taliban spokesperson said on Twitter that the defense ministry was the object of the first attack, while police were targeted in the second. The attack comes more than a week after 16 people were killed when militants stormed the American University of Afghanistan in Kabul. Last month, two university professors, an American and an Australian, were also kidnapped at gunpoint near the school. And here are more updates from across the world in Global Buzz. Australian Foreign Minister Julie Bishop met Palestinian Prime Minister Rami Hamdallah on Monday in the West Bank. Bishop's two-day visit to Israel and the Palestinian territories comes as international efforts are being made to resume Israeli-Palestinian peace talks that collapsed in 2014. During her visit, she will promote bilateral cooperation and the development of a treaty on innovation. Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei criticized Saudi Arabia over how it runs the Hajj pilgrimage after a stampede killed hundreds of pilgrims last year. He suggested Muslim countries think about ending Riyadh's control of the annual pilgrimage. Iran blamed the incident on the incompetence of the organizers. Pilgrims from Iran will be unable to attend Hajj this year after talks between the two countries on arrangements failed in May. In the United States, as many as 60 firefighters tackled a nearly 300-acre wildfire in Colorado on Sunday, threatening at least 30 structures in its path. However, there were no casualties and no evacuation order was issued. Myanmar's de facto leader Aung San Suu Kyi met former UN chief Kofi Annan on Monday in a bid to bring peace and development to Rakhine State, where violence between Buddhists and minority Rohingya Muslims cast a pall over Myanmar's democratic transition. The meeting was the first of its kind for the newly formed Advisory Committee on Rakhine State, being chaired by Annan. All right, some sports news now. And at the US Open, 14-time Grand Slam champion Rafael Nadal was knocked out of the tournament by Frenchman Lucas Pouille in the fourth round. In a thrilling encounter, 25th-ranked Pouille recovered from the breakdown in the fifth set, converting his fourth match point in the tiebreak to win 6-1, 2-6, 6-4, 3-6, 7-6. The defeat for fourth-seeded Nadal means that for the first time since 2004, he has failed to reach a Grand Slam quarter-final. Poi will play 10th-seeded compatriot Game of Phil in the quarters. Meanwhile, top-seeded Novak Djokovic eased into the quarterfinals with a straight-sets victory over Briton Kyle Edmund. Djokovic, who won last two matches courtesy his opponents retiring due to injury, won the match 6-2, 6-1, 6-4. He will next face 9th-seeded Frenchman Jo-Wilfried Tsonga. In the women's draw, Angelique Kerber won the battle of Grand Slam champions when the second-seeded parred her way into the quarterfinals with a 6-3, 7-5 win over Petra Kvitova. By reaching the last 8, Kerber has put herself in a position to end Serena Williams' long reign as world number 1. Caroline Wozniacki also reached the last 8 after beating 8th American Madison Keys with a tidy 6-3, 6-4 victory. She will next face Latvian Anastasia Sevastova, who had defeated Britain's Johanna Konta. It was disappointment, though, for India as Sania Mirza's campaign in the mixed doubles came to an end after she and her Croatian partner Ivan Dodig lost their second-round match against unheralded Barbara Krejcikova of Czech Republic and Marin Draganja of Croatia in straight sets 3-6, 4-6. And that's all we have for you on the news tonight from the entire team here. Good night.